You don't need to scream. You don't need to fight. You don't need to lower yourself to the level of someone who disrespects you. Power is not loud. Real power is silent. And when you understand how to use silence strategically, people will regret ever trying to disrespect you in the first place. When someone disrespects you, the first instinct most people have is to react, to shout back, to prove themselves, to let the other person know, you can't talk to me that way. But here's the truth. The moment you do that, you've already handed over your power. Why? Because they got exactly what they wanted, your attention. They provoked you and you responded. They set the bait and you took it. That's why the strongest move you can make isn't retaliation, it's withdrawal. You starve them of the very thing they crave, your energy. Think about this. Attention is currency. Every word you give, every reaction you show, every ounce of energy you spend on someone who disrespects you, it's payment. And the disrespectful person is feeding off it. When you argue with them, when you defend yourself, when you try to explain why they're wrong, you've already rewarded their behavior. You've shown them that their words or actions hold power over you. But when you withdraw your attention, when you stop engaging, you send a far louder message, you're irrelevant to me. Silence unsettles people. Human beings are wired to crave responses. When someone insults you, they want to see a reaction. When they mock you, they're hoping for your anger. When they ignore your worth, they want you to fight for it. So when you refuse to play the game, it flips the script. Suddenly, they're left hanging with their disrespect bouncing back at them. And the longer your silence lasts, the heavier their words feel on their own shoulders. Imagine two people standing face to face. One throws punches of insult after insult. The other doesn't even lift a hand, doesn't flinch, doesn't react. Eventually, the attacker looks like a fool. Because fighting with silence is like holding up a mirror. It forces the other person to see themselves without distraction. And when they see themselves grasping for your attention and failing, regret creeps in. Here's the psychology behind it. Attention equals validation. Even negative attention validates someone's behavior because it confirms that they got under your skin. But withdrawing attention is rejection. It communicates, you don't exist in my world. And there is nothing more crushing to the ego than being treated as invisible. Now, let's get practical. How does this look in real life? Let's say someone disrespects you at work. Maybe they belittle your idea in front of others. Most people would jump in to defend themselves, creating a back and forth argument. But the silent move is different. You let them speak. You don't raise your voice. You don't interrupt. You stay calm, maybe even take notes or nod as if unaffected. Then, when it's your turn, you present your idea clearly and confidently without ever addressing their disrespect. You've robbed them of the dramatic showdown they wanted, and instead, you've elevated yourself above the noise. They'll walk away realizing their attempt to shake you failed, and that regret hits deeper than any verbal comeback could. Or consider a relationship scenario. Maybe someone close to you constantly underestimates you, criticizes you, or disrespects your boundaries. You could argue endlessly, trying to convince them to treat you better. But attention only fuels the cycle. The moment you stop explaining, stop pleading, and simply withdraw, pulling your energy back and investing it elsewhere, they feel the weight of losing your presence. And that's when regret begins to gnaw at them. People don't value what's always available. They value what they lose access to. This silent move is not about ignoring forever or being cold for the sake of ego. It's about reclaiming your energy and making it clear that your attention is earned, not owed. Because when people learn that disrespect equals disconnection from you, they quickly reevaluate how they approach you. And here's the beauty of it. Withdrawing your attention is not loud. It's not dramatic. It doesn't need announcement. You don't say, I'm ignoring you or I'm done with you. No, you simply shift your focus. You stop feeding their negativity and redirect your energy into your goals, your growth, your peace. And over time, your silence builds a fortress they can't penetrate. But here's the part that stings for them the most. While they were busy trying to get under your skin, you were busy elevating. While they were trying to pull you down, you were quietly moving forward. And when they finally notice that your life is flourishing without them, regret doesn't just tap on their shoulder, it crushes them. So withdrawing your attention isn't weakness, it's strength, it's self-control, it's discipline. It's the silent declaration that says, I don't waste my energy on people who don't respect me, because attention is power. And once you master where you direct it, no one can control you. When someone disrespects you, the natural impulse is to prove them wrong immediately. You want to argue, to confront, to show them why they're mistaken. But here's the reality. Words rarely change minds. Arguments rarely restore respect. In fact, trying to convince someone of your worth only makes you look like you're begging for their recognition. True power is not in defending yourself, it's in becoming undeniable. And the way you do that is by elevating yourself quietly. You don't announce your plans. You don't broadcast every step you're taking. You simply go to work on yourself. Every insult, every doubt, every act of disrespect becomes fuel for your growth. Instead of wasting energy fighting back, you redirect it into your own development, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially. That's the move. Because eventually the same people who dismissed you will be forced to face a version of you they never imagined possible. There's a reason silence is so powerful in this process. When you tell people what you're doing, your goals, your grind, your vision, you give them room to sabotage, to doubt, to criticize. But when you move quietly, no one sees it coming. They only see the results, and the shock of your transformation is what makes the regret hit harder. Think about it. If someone disrespects you and you fight back with words, the story ends there. But if you elevate in silence, the story takes a different path. They remember the things they said about you. They remember underestimating you. They remember thinking you weren't capable. Then they see you succeeding, standing taller, moving sharper, living stronger, and suddenly their own words echo back in their head. That's when the regret starts to eat away at them. This is why elevation is the greatest form of response. Let's break it down. Maybe someone disrespected you in your career. They said you weren't skilled enough, not smart enough, not capable of leading. The loud move would be to argue with them, list your qualifications, or try to convince them otherwise. The silent move is different. You sharpen your skills, you study harder, you work smarter, you take on challenges they never expected you to handle. Months later, when you land the promotion, close the deal, or build the business they never thought you could, they're left speechless. Because while they were talking, you were building. While they were doubting, you were growing. Or maybe it's personal. Someone disrespected your worth in a relationship. They said you'd never find better or treated you like you weren't enough. The mistake many people make is trying to prove themselves to the very person who failed to see their value. But the silent move is this. You invest in yourself. You hit the gym, you focus on your health, you improve your mindset, you cultivate new friendships, you explore your passions, you evolve into someone stronger, healthier, more radiant than before. And when that person eventually looks back, because they always look back, they realize they lost something extraordinary. That's when regret becomes unavoidable. Elevation is not just about external success either. It's about internal growth, because real power isn't only in what you achieve, but in who you become in the process. When you elevate quietly, you're not just proving others wrong, you're proving yourself right. You start to recognize your own strength, your own potential, your own resilience. And that confidence radiates louder than any words ever could. Here's the key. You don't need to tell anyone what you're doing. Let them think you're stagnant. Let them think you're the same person they disrespected. Because one day, when they least expect it, they'll encounter the upgraded version of you. And that encounter will sting. Quiet elevation creates shock value. It's the difference between telling someone, "I'll show you," and letting life reveal it without a word from you. The second one always hits harder. Another truth is this. Elevation requires discipline. It means choosing not to get distracted by petty arguments. It means keeping your vision clear when others are trying to pull you into drama. It means saying no to proving yourself in the moment so you can prove yourself in the long run. That's strength. Because anybody can clap back in the heat of the moment, but not everyone has the patience to rise in silence and let the results speak later. And make no mistake, results speak louder than anything else. Success is undeniable. Growth is undeniable. Transformation is undeniable. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to defend it. When you elevate, the evidence is right there. And those who disrespected you won't just see it, they'll feel it. Every victory you achieve becomes a reminder of the way they treated you. Every milestone you reach becomes a mirror reflecting their short-sightedness. And that regret cuts deeper than any argument could. So when disrespect comes your way, remember this. Don't get distracted. Don't waste your energy trying to win small battles. Focus on the bigger war, the war of growth, achievement, and becoming unshakable. Because the higher you rise, the harder they'll regret ever trying to bring you down. one of the greatest traps people fall into when disrespected is giving away their emotions. You see, disrespect is rarely about truth. It's about power. When someone disrespects you, they're testing your boundaries. They want to see if they can shake you. They want to see if they can drag you into their chaos. And the moment you explode, the moment you lose your cool, the moment you react out of anger, they win. They control you because they've made you dance to their tune. But composure, that's where true power lives. Mastering your composure means you refuse to give someone the satisfaction of seeing you rattled. You don't flinch, you don't shout, you don't crumble. You stay centered, collected, calm, like a mountain that no storm can move. And when you respond to disrespect with composure, it sends a chilling message: you cannot reach me. Think about it. What unsettles a person more? You shouting back at them, or you standing in silence with an unshaken gaze while they lose their temper? Anger meets anger all the time. That's predictable. But when disrespect is met with calm, it breaks expectations. It flips the psychological game. Suddenly, they're no longer in control. Their attempt to provoke you collapses on itself because nothing is more unnerving to an aggressor than realizing they cannot penetrate your calm. Composure is not about weakness. It's about discipline. It's about understanding that emotions are energy, and whoever controls your emotions controls you. When someone can press your buttons, they own you. But when you remove those buttons, when you take back control of how you respond, you become untouchable. Picture this. You're in a heated meeting and a colleague decides to disrespect you in front of everyone. Maybe they dismiss your idea. Maybe they mock your contribution. Maybe they try to embarrass you. Most people in that moment would lash out, defending themselves with equal aggression. But the one who holds power is the one who stays composed. You pause. You breathe. You let the silence hang in the air, and then you respond with clarity, confidence, and calmness. While they lose credibility by letting emotions control them, you gain respect by mastering yours. And long after the meeting ends, people remember the one who stood unshaken. Or imagine in your personal life, someone insults you, calls you names, or tries to belittle you. The easy road is to throw insults back, to match their energy. But that's exactly what they want. The stronger move is to stay calm. You don't even acknowledge their attempt to pull you down. You remain grounded. And while they expect fire, all they get is silence or a measured response. That quiet strength speaks louder than any words could. It tells them, you can't touch me. And that's what makes regret creep in, because they realize they can't control you the way they thought they could. The truth is, mastering composure isn't just about handling disrespect. It's about owning yourself. Because life will throw disrespect, rejection, and criticism your way over and over again. If you explode every time, you'll spend your life as a puppet of other people's opinions. But if you remain composed, you flip the script. You decide when to respond, how to respond, and if a response is even necessary. That level of control is rare, and people respect it, even if they don't admit it. Here's the deeper psychology. Humans are drawn to those who stay calm under pressure. Calmness signals strength. It signals leadership. It signals security. That's why military leaders, elite negotiators, and high-level performers all train composure as a skill. Because when chaos hits, the calm one leads. And in your own life, when disrespect comes, composure elevates you above the noise. You stop being reactive and you start being in command. But let's be clear, composure doesn't mean you accept disrespect. It doesn't mean you stay silent forever or allow others to mistreat you. It means you choose your response wisely on your terms. Sometimes composure means walking away. Sometimes it means addressing the issue calmly. Sometimes it means letting your success handle it for you. But it always means refusing to let someone else dictate your emotions. And here's the paradox. When you master composure, the people who disrespect you end up respecting you, even if they don't want to. They may not admit it, but they feel it. Because deep down, everyone knows losing control is weakness. And when they see you unshaken, they realize they couldn't break you. That's when regret sets in. Mastering composure is not easy. It requires training. It means pausing before you speak, breathing before you react, and remembering that silence can often be more powerful than words. It means reminding yourself that your emotions belong to you, not to the person trying to provoke them. But the payoff is worth it, because composure builds a reputation. People begin to see you as steady, reliable, powerful, and those who disrespect it, They see someone they couldn't shake, and that truth lingers in their minds long after the moment has passed. So when disrespect comes, and it will, remember this: the one who controls the emotions controls the room. Don't hand over your power by reacting. Don't let anyone pull you into their storm. Stay composed, stay grounded, stay unshaken, because composure is not silence. It's strength disguised as silence. And it's one of the most powerful moves that makes people regret ever trying to test you. When someone disrespects you, it's natural to want to stay and prove yourself, to make them see your value, to force them to treat you differently. But here's a hard truth. The more access you give to someone who doesn't respect you, the more they will abuse that access. That's why one of the most powerful silent moves you can make is distance. Not noise, not confrontation, not begging, but creating space. Distance teaches lessons that words never can. Because when you step back, when you remove yourself from their reach, you force people to face the emptiness of your absence. And absence has a weight. It's in that silence, in that missing presence, that regret begins to grow. Here's what many people get wrong. They think staying close, fighting harder, or constantly correcting someone's disrespect will eventually change their behavior. But the opposite usually happens. Familiarity makes people careless. The more available you are, the more they take you for granted. They stop noticing your value because it's always right there, easily accessible. But when you step away, when you stop showing up, stop answering every call, stop pouring into someone who only takes, that's when your worth becomes undeniable, because it's absence that magnifies presence. Think about it. Have you ever lost something valuable, even temporarily? Maybe you misplaced your phone or your keys. For a while, you barely thought about them when they were right there in your pocket. But the moment they disappeared, panic set in. Suddenly, you realized how important they were. That's human nature. We tend to realize value only in its absence. The same principle applies to respect. When you create distance, you make people feel the cost of losing access to you. Distance can take many forms. It doesn't always mean cutting people off completely. Sometimes it's emotional distance. You stop sharing your deepest thoughts with someone who mocks them. Sometimes it's social distance. You stop showing up to places where you know disrespect is waiting. Sometimes it's physical distance. You literally walk away instead of standing there absorbing disrespect. In every case, the message is clear. If you cannot respect me, you cannot have me. And here's the powerful part. Distance isn't dramatic. You don't have to announce it. You don't need to make speeches or declarations about why you're pulling back. That only fuels the other person with more of your energy. No, real distance is quiet. It's simply you redirecting your focus elsewhere. They text, you respond slower. They disrespect, you stop engaging. They push, you stop pushing back. You don't give them the satisfaction of a war. You just walk away from the battlefield altogether. And the silence of that choice echoes louder than any confrontation could. Now, let's talk about the psychological effect. People who disrespect you often do it because they assume you'll always be there. They think they can treat you however they want and you'll keep coming back. But distance breaks that illusion. It interrupts the cycle. When they suddenly can't reach you like before, when their words no longer provoke a response, when their disrespect no longer secures your attention, they're forced to sit with the reality that they may have pushed too far. And regret grows in silence, not in noise. Consider this in a professional setting. Maybe a boss or coworker constantly undermines you. You could argue endlessly, but the stronger move is distance. That might mean minimizing interaction, keeping communication strictly professional, focusing your energy on your performance rather than on their disrespect. Over time, your distance shifts the dynamic. They no longer get the same emotional access to you. And as your work speaks for itself, they're left realizing they lost the privilege of your trust and collaboration. Or picture it in a personal relationship. Someone constantly criticizes you, underestimates you, or ignores your boundaries. If you keep engaging, the cycle continues. But if you pull back, if you stop answering every insult, stop explaining yourself, stop being overly available, they start to feel the gap. The silence eats at them. And eventually, they realize they lost access to someone who once gave them loyalty, energy, and love. That regret hits far harder than any argument you could have made. The beauty of distance is that it shifts the focus back to you. Instead of wasting energy convincing someone to see your value, you invest that energy into your own growth, your own peace, your own goals. Distance is not punishment for them. It's protection for you. It creates space where you can breathe, rebuild, and thrive without being drained by disrespect. And in doing so, you remind yourself that you don't have to fight for a seat at the table. You can walk away and build your own. And here's the most important part. Distance restores dignity. There's nothing dignified about begging for respect. There's nothing powerful about staying in places that consistently strip you of your worth. Power is in walking away without raising your voice. Power is in making someone realize that access to you is a privilege, not a guarantee. And when that realization finally hits them, regret becomes inevitable. So distance is not weakness. It's strength. It's the silent move that says, I don't have to fight you. I don't have to explain myself to you. I simply won't give you access to me anymore. And that silence carries a weight that words could never achieve.